Many thanks for making a date on the marketplace today. Welcome back. Let's settle down for our very first story. Despite the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration's verdict that the Boeing 737 MAX 8 jet plane remains safe to fly, Boeing company is facing a growing crisis of confidence over its 737 MAX 8 jets. A day after U.S. regulators stood by the jet's airworthiness, some regulators and airlines have grounded their planes following the 2 deadly crashes in 5 months. The latest are Singapore and Australia, who have joined countries like Indonesia, Ethiopia, China and Morocco. But the US FAA says this is too early to take such a decision. Let's watch this from France 24.
To ground or not to ground Boeing 737 MAX planes? The question faced by air carriers worldwide after the model's second crash in 5 months. Aviation authorities in China, Indonesia, and Singapore, as well as airlines in Ethiopia, Morocco, and Brazil, have all stopped flying the planes. While Boeing's major U.S. customers, United, American, and Southwest Airlines, all say they have confidence in the plane's safety.
Now, despite concerns about the safety of Ethiopian Airlines fleet following the crash of B737 MAX 8 aircraft last Sunday, the Aviation Ministry says it will go ahead with a partnership with Ethiopian Airlines to set up a home-based carrier. Aviation Minister Joseph Ada tells Joy Business the partnership will not be undermined by the recent air disaster, as Ethiopian Airlines has had a long-standing reputation of being one of the best airlines in Africa.
Ethiopian has been one of the safest airlines with the highest record in the industry, with well-trained professionals who have flown their aircraft and provided services on the airlines, as well as on the ground in many ways. They've been doing a good job over the years, and what has just happened is one of a kind that nobody expected. As to our own position, you are aware, as we informed you in the past, in December 2018, we signed a memorandum of understanding with Ethiopian Airlines to take them on board as our partner in setting up the home-based carrier. This is an incident that happened, we understand happened on the 737 MAX aircraft. I cannot thoroughly go through the types of aircraft that exist, but just for you to have an idea, on the family of aircraft under 737, we have many of them, perhaps close to 10 of them. We have Boeing 737-100, then 200, 300, 400, and 500, the new generation one, as well as 737-600, 737-700, 800, 900, and the MAX 8. So there are many more 737 aircraft that have been manufactured by Boeing. So for the MAX to be involved in an accident doesn't try to suggest that the 737s are the ones that are endangered. No. There's so many of them out there. And many airlines are operating these types of aircraft. We've not had anything like this involving any of the aircraft.
So that was the Aviation Minister Joseph Kofi Ada. In another development, Ghana Civil Aviation Authority GCAA now says the country's airspace is safe for flights, despite having some Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft operating here. Head of Safety Regulations at the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Daniel Akwa, had earlier noted there were no such aircraft flying in and out of the country. In an interview with Joy Business, Director General of the GCAA, Simon Alite, says the authority is, however, keenly monitoring the situation to ensure higher safety standards are maintained.
As I speak today, a number of them operated with the 737 MAX 8 to Ghana yesterday, and the aircraft are safe to fly. The aircraft was manufactured by Boeing Aircraft of the U.S. It went through a vigorous airworthiness checks, and they issued the original type certificates, which has been validated by several countries all over the world. And these operators who came into the country, their civil aviation authorities have done their checks, and they are confident that these aircraft can still fly. So as a regulator, we're monitoring the situation with the Boeing Aircraft Corporation, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, which is the equivalent of the GCAA. They issued the original type certificates. They have indeed went to their website, issued a statement to have Boeing fix whatever software problems there could be by the 11th of April. There was no statement to about grounding these very efficient, superlative aircraft. In Canada, which suffered a massive loss in the recent ET crash, they had about 18 Canadians perishing, have come out to confirm their confidence in the aircraft. As I speak today, a number of them operated with the 737 MAX 8 to Ghana yesterday, and the aircraft are safe to fly. The aircraft was manufactured by Boeing Aircraft of the U.S. It went through vigorous airworthiness checks, and they issued the original type certificates, which has been validated by several countries all over the world. And these operators who came into the country, their civil aviation authorities have done their checks, and they are confident that these aircraft can still fly. So as a regulator, we're monitoring the situation with the Boeing Aircraft Corporation, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, which is the equivalent of the GCAA. They issued the original type certificates. They have indeed went to their website, issued a statement to have Boeing fix whatever software problems there could be by the 11th of April. There was no statement to about grounding these very efficient, superlative aircraft. In Canada, which suffered a massive loss in the recent ET crash, they had about 18 Canadians perishing, have come out to confirm their confidence in the aircraft. As I speak today, a number of them operated with the 737 MAX 8 to Ghana yesterday.
All right, so it looks like the Boeing 737 MAX 8 crash recently has dealt a heavy blow in business activities, and of course, the stock market is not left out because the Boeing company, makers of the B737 MAX 8, looks set to remain under pressure. That's their stocks, as the Dow remained under pressure following the fatal plane crash over the weekend. My colleague Norvan Akwa-Hayford has been monitoring the performance of the company's stocks and has joined me for some more analysis. Norvan.
Okay, so Abaji, obviously you know that when these things happen, of course, it brings some kind of uncertainty as far as the markets are concerned. The market may respond positively or negatively. And with what happened on Sunday, the news of the crash has dealt a blow on the numbers as far as the Boeing company is concerned. Of course, on Monday morning, or if you look at Friday as at the time the markets closed, it closed around $400.01, if you want to put it, let's say $400.01, that is it. But then as of Monday, which was yesterday, 4 p.m., you saw that the figures had dropped significantly to around 371. And then if you look at the overall 52-week low that has been recorded, that's around 292. And the changes that we're seeing in terms of the movement, you see that there have been some $22, dollars in terms of dollar terms, and then in the percentage term is -6%. That is what we see as far as the stock markets are concerned. We are still watching this, hoping that since there's been a lot of talk, especially when the U.S. aviation regulator have said that they have directed that the company should make some, or there should be some upgrade. I mean, when these things are done, of course, there will be some confidence back in their stocks as a company.
Now, so Norman, what exactly does it mean for shareholders at this time, especially when they did not envisage this particular occurrence?
I mean, Abaji, what it means is that the value of your stocks are falling, and then they are losing some cash in there. Of course, the confidence level, as far as, you know, people keeping their money there, that's what happens. And this is trading going on. When these things happen, people are a bit confused. People don't know what to do. There are those who immediately will go in, trade their stocks, those who will withdraw. There are those who believe that, okay, let's wait a bit, let's see what happens as far as the markets are concerned. But if you listen generally, the statements that are being made, there are countries and there are airlines that have said, listen, we still have belief and faith in this. And so for us, you know, we are going to still fly the Boeing 737 MAX 8. And so that all these things play a role in ensuring that, you know, your stocks are either strong or you stay safe or not. So I believe that in the coming days, we'll see the stocks probably going up again or finding its level on the markets.
Many thanks. Norman Akwa-Hayford is with Joy Business. He's been monitoring the performance of the stocks of Boeing Company after the B737 crash. Don't go away yet, because when we come back after this break, we'll be talking to a renowned industry player who is going to take us into the implications on businesses and also the legal implications as well of this crash. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the marketplace. Now, I have with me in the studio a renowned pilot with over 40 years flying experience. I must say I'm privileged to have shared some part of my personal flying experience on the defunct Ghana Airways with him. But beyond that, he's also been flying with Saudi Arabian Airlines. My guest on the marketplace this afternoon is Captain Mike Foley. Captain, you're welcome to the marketplace.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Now, so before we begin to look at the business implications or the implications on business and also the legal implications, could you walk us through maybe the possible scenario which happened or which might have happened on the day of the crash?
Yes. Anytime there's a tragic event like an aircraft accident, investigators have to try and find out what happened. There must be an investigation.
Okay.
It could be caused by a series of events, either in combination or individually. It could be either sabotage or terrorism, or a pilot or human error, we call it, or a mechanical failure, or even the weather could have been the factor. In this instant case, the investigations have not been concluded yet.
Yeah, but so here is due to, you know, a systemic failure, computerized, you know, failure.
At this point, I think it's speculation. But of course, this issue has reared its head, so it must be looked at. Principally because of the accident in October last year involving Lion Air.
Yeah.
So yes, it's good to look at that as a pointer, but investigations must still be completed.
What exactly is wrong with that computerized system on these B737s? You are a pilot, I believe you are familiar with this.
Well, I can only speculate. Now, what we are told happened on the Lion Air. I'm going back to Lion Air.
There are similarities.
Similarities, yes. It's the same type of aircraft. Was that a system that was installed to prevent an accidental stalling of the aircraft. That is, if you fly at too low a speed, the aircraft could fall out of the sky. So a system was installed to prevent that from happening. That if the aircraft is going to stall, the computer will kick in and take over from the pilots to prevent and dip the nose of the aircraft down to prevent that. Now, we have had this system in aircraft for years. What has been installed in the MAX is a different and new system, which was not properly brought to the attention of the pilots, meaning that the pilots have not been informed that this could go wrong with the system. And if this happens, these are the procedures you must follow to rectify it.
Is it the normal way when aircraft are manufactured?
Yes.
Do you get pilots going through a simulation exercise also to bring you up to speed?
Yes, there are basic training that pilots go through to cover possible accidents or events, like engine fire, engine stalling, decompression. And we train on this regularly, and we examine on this regularly. But when a new system is installed like this, even the manufacturers may not know the possible defect that will crop up. It happened before, and it takes them by surprise, and they need time to rectify it.
All right. Now, let's quickly look at the implications on various business stakeholders. I mean, the airlines, the regulators, the countries, involved as a whole. How would it impact?
Yes, straight away, airlines that fly primarily this aircraft, once the aircraft have been grounded, it will affect their operations. Unless they have other aircraft they can roll on to take over from the routes.
Okay.
And airlines that do not have only this aircraft are going to be in business somehow, but it's going to hit their reputation, especially Ethiopian Airways. Ethiopian Airways will need time to recover from this reputation. So, because as far as passengers are aware, immediately the problem was with Ethiopian Airways. So there'll be some lack of confidence on Ethiopian Airways unless the investigation comes out clearly to state that it was not a problem with Ethiopian Airways, but with this aircraft.
What about the countries involved? Because we know China, for instance, has grounded over 100 of its B737s. What's the implication on China's economy as well?
Loss of income, big time. Loss of income, and but China, Australia, and Singapore are playing it safe.
Okay.
Because if there's an accident in their airspace, it will hit them harder than the cost of grounding this aircraft.
Okay.
So I think what is happening gradually is that the onus is being put on Boeing to confirm to everybody, to give everybody satisfaction and confidence that it is not a defect with their aircraft. So the economy of China is going to be affected, the economy of airlines are going to be affected, and countries will also suffer. Yes.
Okay. Now let's look at Boeing Company. How does it also play into their business? Because we know that their stocks are falling.
Yes, stocks will fall. You know, aircraft manufacturers are powerful.
Okay.
In the sense that because it's money. You know, these days we live in a money business. I mean, in a money regime. Even if the fault was with Boeing, they will not openly come out to admit it because of possible legal repercussions. Okay. So they are going to try very hard. I'm talking about what normally happens and find somebody else to blame. In the case of Lion Air, unfortunately, the airline was blamed for having a bad maintenance culture. When in truth, so far as some of us are concerned, the defect was of the aircraft.
Okay, all right. Any legal, aspects of these implications?
Oh yes, anytime there is an accident, of course, families of the dead or those who are hurt would like to sue. The first person they look up to is the airline, the carrier. Now, the carrier will also try to, as much as possible, shift the liability to the manufacturer. And the manufacturer will be kicking against it. So at this time, I am sure that many lawyers are rubbing their hands in glee because there's going to be big business.
Lawsuits and so on and so forth. Thank you very much, Captain, for this insight. And it's a pleasure having you on board. That was Captain Michael Foley. He's a renowned pilot currently flying with Saudi Arabian Airlines. Away from this, Societe Generale Bank has committed to increase its investments into the Ghanaian economy, especially in areas of infrastructure development. The bank says as of last year, the bank had expended about $2 billion in several infrastructure developments globally. Managing Director for the bank, Hakeem Huzan, stated this at the Societe Generale's Business Day in Accra, and that he said the bank is considering some upcoming projects in the country as well. We'll bring you details of this story in our subsequent bulletins. But on that note, we wrap up the marketplace for today. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a good afternoon.